This is a video about the Battlefield Editor. Hopefully it'll teach you how to use this and what things do here. First off, there are 4 categories: architecture, toys, and hazard and monsters. In architecture, there are blocks that will block you, or obstacles that will block the people in the battlefield or redirect them. There are toys, which are balls, flags, and goals and stuff for fun. Hazards are damaging spaces or movement forcers, where it forces the people to move across, and monsters are monsters, melee, range, and mage. There are every one of them has a delete button. Delete, what it does is allows you to delete the elements they place on the ground. There are 200 elements, and actually one element is zooming in. One element is one placement. So this large amount of tiles is one element, but at the same time, if you put 2 down, if you just click instead of clicking drag, they're actually separate elements, so they'll take up more elements. There are this zoom in, zoom out feature, so you can see the tiles closer or farther. You can also scroll your mouse in to zoom in, scroll it out to zoom out. If you place your mouse on wherever your mouse is, it'll zoom into that spot. You can drag these scroll bars to look various areas. There are 200 elements. Unfortunately, that's not very much compared to how much space there are. There are 112 spaces from left to right. I'm assuming this is a square, so same for the bottom. So there are over 10,000 spaces, but only 200 elements. So you have to make good use of them. So first off, architecture under neutral portal. There's actually, if you click these wrench, they give a description on it, and even lets you set some requirements to overcome them, or what effects they have, what features they do. So first off, the neutral portal, you can place them. You can't click and drop, so it's only one. What happens is, if there is no team, then you'll spawn at a neutral portal. I think you spawn in the one closest to the center of the map. I'm not really sure. Might even be random, depending on how much there are and how much people goes in it. There are the red and blue portals. Those are, if you're playing a team game, then that's where the respective team will come out at. They do have a feature where, if there are more than one, then you'll be sent to one of them. But the others are deactivated. You have to activate them, and then you would be able to quit from the portals. So that's how you leave through the portal. Right click them and select quit portal. You can log out to get out, or you finish the objective that's set for the battlefield. You cannot, if you're on neutral, if it's no team, you cannot use a red or blue portal to escape. If you're on a red team, you cannot use neutral or blue to escape. If you're on blue, you cannot use red or neutral to escape. And that's how it is. Deletes, just click and you can drag, drop, and then all these are gone. Tall blocks. Basically, there are talls and short blocks and doors and stuff. What they do is the short blocks are basically, well, they're shorter. You can shoot over them, you can mage over them, but you cannot do that for the tall block. These are just general walls to make sure people stay on track. Delete them. Doors. There are respective team doors and of short and tall. Obviously, short ones you can shoot over, tall ones you cannot. If you're on the blue team, you're free to move past them, but if you're on the red team, you cannot. So it's similar to like Steel Creations, where only the red team can go through their one, and only the blue one can go through the blue one. Keeps your own team's base safe and free of the opponents. Climbing blocks, they are placed on the floor, and as you see, there's various grooves on them. If you're on this side, for example, and you click to climb it, you will appear on the opposite side. You cannot climb this side if you're on an adjacent side. You have to be directly in front of it. If there's a wall here, in fact, since there's a blue door here, I would not be able to climb over this because I would land on top of the door, but I cannot do that. His eye is on, and then obviously, this is a blue door here, I'm unable to climb this side of the block to get on this side. You can set agility requirements. It goes intervals of 5 up to 100. In order to get to 100, you'd actually need a boost, which you can have in the toys. There's actually power up that gives you a boost for that. And there's actually a climbing frame, which is like the climbing block, except you can see through it, which is useful so that you can see through. There are directional climbing blocks and frames. As you see, they only have grooves on one side of it. This means I can only climb from one side and land on the other. I cannot climb to this side from this side, it's a one way only. And I cannot climb this block if I'm not next to it. For example, if there is a block here, this block is basically useless because I cannot step on this side and I cannot climb over here. Of course, it's the Battlefield editor, so right now I can step through everything. There's various directions, so you just place each one of them and they go each direction. The climbing frames are the same, but once again they're see-through. As you see, I can be at this side, at this square, and then climb across, but I cannot cross this frame from this side because I'm not next to the bar. Next are barriers, tall and short as usual. Your barriers, you can open them, and when you break them, they collapse. You have a setting where you get through them by either a key, brute force, woodcutting, mining, or thieving. If you get a key from either set as a monster dropping it or from item spawner. The resilience to damage, how much damage it'll take before the break. If you try to break an elite box with strength, one person will be there for a few minutes, maybe even longer. So they are resistant to damage when you summon a higher damage resilience. And they can respawn, so this can make sure that people can pass for a short time and then they have to go through it again. You can also set a goal, so that next goal, if someone say scores a flag in the one of the goals, then everything will respawn. It would allow for repeatable games. And these barriers are, as they are barriers, so that they're for the red and blue team, so you need those to get across. The opponent team will have to use one of these, but the respective teams of the barriers are free to come and go, free to destroy their own blocks. Next up, toys. Clears up first. The delete option, it's on every one of them, so you can delete. The item spawner is just placed on the floor, and there it is. On top of it will spawn an item, either a key for opening doors, healing potion, which is useful for healing on the go, and hatchet or pickaxe, which is useful to get through these barriers if they're set to mining or woodcutting. You can also set it to how when they respawn, so immediately people have as much supply as they want of it. Good for if everyone needs some potions or hatchets or pickaxe. You can have for goals. Tag markers, you just set them on the floor, and then you can tag them to get the item inside. You would have to tag one of them, then tag the other so they can tag this one again. And then they can give you either a key or some points for playing a game. And then they can also vanish or just stay forever, depending on what it's set as. Ball spawner, you have the option to kick it. You can tap the ball with kick, and it'll go about 7 spaces, or you can kick the ball with kick, then it'll go 32 spaces. If the ball crashes into a person, it'll bounce off the direction of incoming. It'll just bounce backwards and continue to roll that way. You can carry it, and you can kick and carry, so you do both at the same time. You can also set it so they can't run or they can't move. You can also, when you're carrying, you can actually pass it to each other. So if you have do not run function, you can actually do that. And the settings, if you could go over obstacles, if you set it to no, they would not be able to say cross this climbing frame because they're not allowed to. And then they have to pass it around in order to get across. The flag spawns, just the flag. Cannot run, cannot move normally. And the obstacle things. And then you take them to the goals, their respective team goals, or this neutral, and they give some amount of points or a key. There are power-ups affecting various stats: attack, strength, range, magic, constitution, prayer, agility, summoning. There's no defense, and summoning you can actually go up to 109. The effects are to reset it back to normal, or you can have it buffed or nerfed, or debuffed. Lose some stats out of it. You can even be set to 0 so that everyone is on equal footing, or at least until they start restoring stats. It can be set to immediately so that everyone will always be able to use it, or a few seconds, or even next goal. Power-ups, there's health, energy, and special attack. You can set to, say, full health, full energy, full special attack, so it goes keep specking something. Or you can set 0 so that, I'm not sure what happens if I set someone to 0 health. Maybe they die. but then you can remove the RNG and special attack that way. You can also have respawn different times, as usual, never immediately, time, or goal. Next is hazards. Here's the water. You can click and drag to get this. The water, pretty much you can't walk over it, but you can see through it clearly. Ice, slippery, drag and drop. So that if you slide on it, if you say step in the space, if this wasn't the editor, then I'd slide across to the other side. Spikes, they can do various damage, from 5 to 1000, so you can one hit someone, unless they have either Cerebral Bruise rank or next armor on, or you can set to 100%, so it's guaranteed death. And then you can drag and drop this, so there's a bunch of spikes on the ground. If you cross it, then you stop and you stand on it, and then you take damage. There are invisible spikes, which is basically spikes, except they're invisible. They're useful for surprise, so that way people just get attacked by them. Sticky tiles, basically, what sticky tiles do is if you're on top of it and running across, you actually would have to walk across them. But actually, if it was just one space like this of sticky tiles, you would actually be running over this normally. But if it was over these, which is more than one row of it, then I would actually end up walking across it. The conveyors, they're just directional movers. If you step on them, you actually drag and drop them. So for example, if it's like this, if I step on this space, it would actually force me across and move up to the space. And then you can actually set them to move back, and then you end up wobbling back and forth. Or you can actually set the directions so that they make a little circle and people will be stuck inside of it. Although they're not really stuck, because you can actually fight the force of it and just keep clicking away, and you'll be able to get off of these conveyor. You actually make a really large drag and drop, and this actually puts you across. But if you were just keep clicking to run across, it would push you a little bit, but eventually you get across, I think. Monsters, various text, 3 combat, level 30 to level 150. Despite being 150, they're pretty weak anyway. I guess it's 150 equivalent if you're unarmed, or even that's not very dangerous. Their max hit is, for the warrior, it's around 100, while the ranger and the mage, they have 134. Their max health is, all three of them, is 297, so they're not very powerful. They can respawn however you set them as usual. And they have a reward where they can drop a key, or they can give you points. And there's different of them. And then after you make however you want to make it, you're allowed to save an A or B. I assume if you upgrade your tier of your battlefield, then you would be able to save more, because there are the C and D, which read only, might be accessed later. And there's actually an example made by Jagex as an example for people to see. So let's load that up. And here it is. There's a ball in the center, so I'm assuming that's you just kick it to your respective goal. If you zoom out, there's actually a blue side over there, and another blue side, and a red side, and a red side. And there's also various things, like they have conveyor belt in use around here. They also have monsters, and they have power-ups around. Then once you're done, you just exit. Then you will wait a little bit. Whenever you go in and out of the battlefield, you actually change world, because apparently on a different world for the citadel, and you get another different world for the battlefield. So if you have authority, you can initiate a battle, and then you're met with a bunch of settings. Okay, so you can choose between layout A and B, depending on where you saved it as. Multi-combat, depending on whether you want to be able to hit multiple once. You have PvP, kill each other, and then you can actually make each other drop keys or points for just whoever general use. Team, which option or forced, you can choose to be on team or not. Battle ends, you can choose how much you can actually make last for a very long time. And you can have individual scores, which for some reason, okay, so if you have it down here, it actually shrinks up, so you lose a lot of visual on it. But if you're on the top, you can see more. And then you can also make it a timed game, so it lasts 2 hours up to, or just 5 minutes. And then when the time's up, it'll determine by set to be most points, team most points, or team with most players. So it's useful if I guess people might exit after they die. Sure. You forbid combat styles. You forbid summoning, forbid food. This will make it more balanced. Drinks and prayer. You actually can't use curses when you're in battlefield, or at least that one time I tried. And then balls being kicked or tackled. Players, so you can attack people with flags or balls. I haven't actually tried this, so I don't know. And then you can set it to nighttime. Once it's done, you just click confirm and you go inside of it. The next few minutes is me going through things, showing how they work, how it can kill you, how it can move, how you get through them.